Well, the countdown is finally over. The college football season is here, and we are kicking off another season of head-to-head talking Alabama football. And excited to feature one of our great reporters, and Nick Kelly, of course, following all things the Alabama Crimson Tide. Simone Eli back with you another season. Nick, the college football season is upon us. It seems like you get to the offseason, and we're talking recruiting and all that jazz, as we often do. Summer flies by, and then the end of August is here.
Yeah, it's time for some actual football to talk about it. I've exhausted my topics to talk about. I feel like, you still keep writing, you still keep producing content, but I'm ready for something on the field, not some hypothetical to talk about. I know you are, as is everyone in our business, frankly.
Yeah, amen to that, man. Talking season finally coming to an end. Kalen DeBoer going into year 2. They're in Tuscaloosa. And of course, with the ever-changing landscape of college football, I think that if you're going to grade Kalen DeBoer on what he's done this offseason, you got to give him an A. You got to be proud of what he's able to do when it comes to retaining his roster, when it comes to putting guys in position to have success. We're going to really find out when the Alabama Crimson Tide travel to Tallahassee to open things up on Saturday against Florida State, a 2:30 kickoff there. And it's going to be an early test, Nick. I know that Alabama's about a two-touchdown favorite in this game, but what do you feel like this game can do when it comes to providing an opportunity for this program to kick off the season in a strong way, kind of set the tone for what it's going to be like in year 2 under DeBoer?
Yeah, there could be a clear just separation between last year and this year because of this game being on the road. So not only would it be a strong start if Alabama can start well, but it can also be a point to show that what happened last year is not going to happen again this year. Alabama struggled on the road, had some games on the road where they should have won. We don't need to revisit them because I think Alabama fans have been revisiting them all offseason.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kind of scenario played out, and Alabama did not always take care of business. So it's a perfect opportunity for them to start to reshape the narrative, which I think this whole season is going to be about. And can they improve on the road? That's an area Kalen DeBoer has talked about they need to improve in. It's against a team they're a favorite against. So it's going to be interesting to see if that can be a trend they change. But also you want to start the season well. It's at any point, no, you don't have to win every game anymore to make the playoff. But why not win the first one? Why not start well, especially after an offseason where people are worried about the future of Alabama football?
Sure.
Granted, Alabama went 9-3. But in T-Town, they're high expectations.
Hey, listen, it's what have you done for me lately? And 9-3 didn't get a spot in the college football playoff in the first year of expansion, Nick, and that's not good enough for this. And you know this. You cover this team long enough. You know the fan base. You know what the temperature is and the expectations. And Kalen DeBoer does too. And when you look at what this offense is going to be with a guy, kind of coming back to work with Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, obviously there's some confidence there in what it is that the two of them have done in previous stops. They, didn't have that together a year ago. They go in with a guy who's maybe had a little bit of time to learn the system. How good do you feel? And do you get a different, expectation when you hear Kalen DeBoer talk? Do you feel like the confidence level in going into this season under Ty Simpson, is there a difference feel from him in the way he's carrying himself and the way he does press conferences? Maybe that indicates to you that he feels better about the offensive situation going into this year than maybe a calendar year ago?
Yeah, I think the two things that he really values are familiarity and continuity, and they have both. And you talk about Ryan Grubb, talk about familiarity there, right? They know each other so well. They could probably finish each other's sentences that way. So they have those two things, not only with the coaching staff, but also the roster. And that goes a long ways in this current age of college football where you have guys changing teams every year sometimes. Continuity is a big deal. So Alabama, I think that is where his confidence comes from.
Yeah, no question. When you think about just what this, we'll dive more into the offense in a minute, but just want to get an overarching thought about the defensive, not really scheme, but obviously Kane Womack took a position as he was head coach of South Alabama, takes a step back in terms of position, but a huge step up in terms of going up to the SEC, kind of rekindling a relationship there with Kalen DeBoer. They've been on previous staffs together. I know that they're really, really good friends. It seems like Kane Womack will be the first to say that he had some lessons to be learned, so to speak, in year 1 as to what it really looks like to go into an SEC schedule, to be able to kind of go up against the best of the country week in and week out. Do you feel like there was something to be learned for Womack, for this defense? And how do you feel like they've adjusted when it comes to preseason practice and going into 2025, gearing up for Florida State?
Yeah, I'm sure there are things he's learned. What exactly that is, you probably have to ask him. But I would say that it's just an adjustment to the speed, to the week in, week out, how you handle success. How, as a
Yeah,
coach, you help your players handle success. I mean,
sure.
that's tricky because you can go from one week beating what's one of the top teams in the country to losing to a team that people didn't think was very good in Vanderbilt. Turns out Diego Pavi Vanderbilt were pretty good. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that turnaround was difficult. And so that consistency, I think, is in the SEC more than maybe anywhere else is tough to replicate. But I do think
yeah.
that Kane is in a good spot where, with his dad being a longtime SEC defensive coordinator, I think he probably heard about these things. But now in this, in 2024, he actually had to experience those things himself. And so I think he's in a better spot because of it. But I also think that when you're teaching a new system, as Kane
Oh
was,
yeah,
I mean, that takes time. So year two in
yeah.
a system, again, I don't mean to keep saying the same thing, but I think that continuity and that familiarity is going to pay off.
And again, perspective matters. I mean, this is a team that would win 9 games last year, but ultimate goal is in the playoffs and the postseason. Like that there is what fans want to see. That there any sort of step back in the minds of a fan base, especially in the Southeastern Conference, is never a good thing. But I think that all signs point to a strong start, and you won't really know until Alabama kicks things off there in Tallahassee. But when you think about what the tone can be set for this Crimson Tide team going to Tallahassee, getting a win, they're going to come back. They're going to host, of course, the Louisiana Monroe, then back into P4 play against Wisconsin before the big one everyone has circled, and that's, of course, Georgia there to open the SEC slate. How can a game against a Florida State team, whether it might not be the Florida State of 2013 under Jimbo, but how can a game like this help set the tone and the momentum for this program as they kind of get into the nitty gritty of the season, come back home, open things up there, and then going into the SEC?
Again, I think it's building that, just, hey, this Alabama team's different. And not only that, but you do have some new characters in different roles. You have a
Yeah,
new cast, so to speak, in some different roles. There's continuity, but you have a whole new quarterback. You have some new receivers. I mean, you have Isaiah Horton, who's expected to play a big role to transfer from Miami. Rico Scott is a guy who's on the roster last year, but I think he's going to have a bigger role this year. So you have some of those guys. You have some different guys in the offensive line. So they're just enough new pieces that you want to prove that, okay, all the hype and all the talk around this team is legitimate
yeah,
and it was worthwhile. And I
yeah,
think that Alabama is eager to prove that what happened last year is a one-off. And you can't do that in a better way than coming out and beating a Power Four opponent. Even if Florida State was 2-10 a year ago, Florida
yeah,
State's going to be better than that. I mean, how can you
yeah,
not be better? But I do think they are going to be better, and probably in a sizable way. So yeah, I
yeah.
think Alabama comes out, if they play really well, that just, I think, just fuels and serves as a launching point for them the rest of the season, because it's only going to get harder from here, Simone.
Yeah, no question. Scout Florida State for us. What do you see from this Seminoles team that maybe indicates to you that I mean, there's really no other way but to go up? And I think that the conference is different, of course, in terms of what the ACC has to present. But at the end of the day, Florida State's a team that's won national championships. This is a program that then knows how to win. This is a coach who's done really, really good things at a different level, who I think they've given time and investment to. They've been patient with, maybe not the fans, but everybody else. And they want it to work. What do you feel like this Florida State team is going to look like when we roll things out on Saturday?
Yeah, that's a great question because they have two new coordinators. So that totally revamps both sides of the ball. They have all
Jeez,
kinds of new
I
players.
forgot Gus was even over there. I literally forgot Gus was over there until like 3 weeks ago, and I thought, dang, that's gonna be something to really just. Let's talk about Gus for a second because the guy. Listen, I mean, we're not here talking about Auburn, but the guy did do things at Auburn that no other Auburn coach had done. Now, some of that was also no other Auburn coach who does some stuff like, running plays that everyone scratched their head and wanted to, jump off the top row of Jordan-Hare Stadium. But with that said, he did beat Alabama, and Nick Saban's giving him all the kudos in the world. If you're Alabama fans, you don't really love to look across the sideline and see that guy standing there again.
I think there is some elements of, oh no, not this guy. I thought we didn't have to deal with him anymore. But yeah, he's back. Now, the one good thing, here's a positive note for Alabama fans. Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator, knows Gus Malzahn really well. He played against Gus Malzahn when Gus was the head coach at Springdale High School in Arkansas, and Kane was a player at Fayetteville.
That's amazing.
Then
That's amazing.
he played for Gus at Arkansas, and I say played for him. Kane was buried in the depth chart. He had 2 carries for 6 yards, he'll tell you, but he
Wow.
did technically play for Gus, so he's familiar with him. And then Kane's
He was on
dad,
the
Dave.
offensive side? Kane played on the offensive side?
Yeah, he did. He was a fullback. He was actually in a backfield with Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, and then Kane was a little bit farther down the stat sheet from those guys.
First of all, I covered Kane for 3 years at South, and I'm telling you, I'm today years old on that news, Nick. So I must just be really bad at my job or something. Or Kane just didn't really want to talk about that time in his life very much.
Well, it's kind of a buried nugget, if you will. He's done a lot of things since then. But yeah, he started on the offensive side of the ball in his career.
Wow.
And then another small connection, his first job as a full-time staffer was with Jason Simpson, Ty Simpson's dad, at UT Martin, where
Really?
Kane was the quarterback's coach. So in a whole different world, yeah, I mean, it's crazy how things come full circle.
Wow, that is crazy, and great reporting as well, man. I love that. I love that nugget. And college football, it's a small world. I know we're gonna wrap things up, but just really quick, we didn't really even get to the outlook on Florida State because I just interrupted you rudely talking about Gus Malzahn for a second there. But what do you see from this Florida State team, Nick? And then we'll kick things off here.
Yeah, I think offensively, you have Tommy Castellanos, who provides some difficult challenges that you kind of have to handle because he can run and throw. So how does
Yeah.
that factor in with what Gus likes to do with kind of that up-tempo look that he's done at times in his career? And then you also have some running backs who have SEC experience. You have Roydale Williams, the longtime Alabama rushing guy there. And then you have a couple receivers who bring some intrigue. You got Squirrel White from Tennessee, a Birmingham guy who he gave Alabama some problems 2 years ago. I think he had a big game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Then he got hurt in the game in Knoxville last year. But yeah, so some SEC flavor there. Defensively, just not really sure what to expect there because, again, they have a new coordinator. They have a lot of new players. And, yeah, I'm not sure how well the Florida State defense will be able to do against Alabama's offense. But one thing to watch, Simone, is what kind of weather is it going to be like in Tallahassee that could provide an equalizer of sorts that might slow Alabama's offense down, maybe even more than the Florida State defense can.
Yeah, listen, look no further than like South Florida is like with thoughts on my brain when I think about things like that. We do not want to go back to one of those situations. But Nick, man, you're doing the Lord's work because quite frankly, I can't keep track of where kids go. I have a 3-year-old. It's the only kid I can keep track of. And nowadays, kids are transferring so much. I'm like, you know what? We'll see. I see kids out in jerseys that it's their 5th jersey in like 2 years, and I'm like, all right, man, whatever. All good. So listen, thanks for at least keeping everyone else up to date on what it is that's going on in terms of where the players are at, because I can't keep up with it anymore.
It's hard. You try your best, but next thing you know, Gus Malzahn's popping up as the OC somewhere. You kind of forgot about him, or next thing you know, this player is like, wait, Roydale Williams, he's still playing college football.
I didn't even know he was still playing football, to be honest. Yeah. I feel like I was yesterday that I was covering him at like Hueytown, or I think, was it Hueytown? I can't remember.
But, yeah, he was Hueytown. Yeah, good memory there. Okay. No, he's in his 6th season of college football because he had the COVID year and he had a redshirt year, so he's still around.
I knew I felt old. Nick, thank you for that. And thank you for the
You're
input
welcome.
on Alabama, Florida State. Looking forward to this one, and looking forward to the rest of the season as well. A big opportunity for Kalen DeBoer as he enters year 2 in Tuscaloosa, and of course before they bring things back to open up the home slate there at Bryant-Denny. Nick Kelly, good stuff. I'm Simone Eli. We will join you next week for Head to Head as Alabama gears up for week 2 of the season there against La Monroe. Nick, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Simone.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.